Hello. Hello and welcome to the Video Lineup Podcast. I am Thomas.
And I'm Nicholas.
And we are doing the AFI Top 100 Films of All Time. We've made some changes.
Which list are we doing now?
Okay.
I don't even know.
Well, we were originally going with the original list because I'm kind of obsessed with doing things like, let's do the whole original list and then we can do the whole 10-year anniversary list because there's no third list at this point. But that's dumb. That's not working. I feel like some of the old list ones, I'm like, they're getting into the more obscure movies. I want to try some of them.
I've enjoyed it though.
Or at least I want to front load the adventure with a few more. Not that they've been that obscure.
No.
But anyway, the point is that we're doing the AFI Top 100 list of all time, the 10-year anniversary list.
And you told me you wanted to do some more modern movies, which I think this list has. Yes.
So we previously, if you've been listening to the podcast and following along, we've been watching one movie each time and talking about it. And in the case of, the Bette Davis movie, All About Eve, and I don't know what else. Some people probably aren't watching these movies. Wizard of Oz, I hope that you've seen.
Yeah.
Other people. I mean, just for your own personal pleasure. What childhood did you have if you didn't get exposed to Wizard of Oz? Probably a great childhood. I'm not judging, but judging your parents or grandparents or anything. But we're going to pair these movies kind of like a nice meal with a good, we need a nice beverage, like a good sommelier. We're your local friend film sommeliers.
Not on the same wavelength.
Do you know what a sommelier is?
No.
Is a sommelier? Isn't that the wine person who knows all about wines? And like you say, I'm going to have a, I don't know, cacio e pepe. And they're like, what kind of pepper is it? That'll pair perfectly with this.
I haven't dined at fancy enough restaurants. So have a sommelier.
Yeah, you need to hang out with me. I'm always, everywhere I go, sommeliering. People sommelier. Then, I make things up and pretend I am Anyway, there's actually a good documentary about that, but we'll be becoming a sommelier there.
You digress.
I digress. So we're going to pair old movies, pop filter. We're going to pair, some plosives, old movies, or at least the movies on this list, with what I called in my calendar, I think I called it modern counterparts. I'm just having a squizzy here. Anyway, basically this week it is Psycho and Jordan Peele's movie Get Out.
Get Out.
Which was, what year did that come out? Oh, okay.
2007, I think it was.
No, it was later than that. After George.
Maybe it's 2017.
I think it's 2017.
Yeah.
I was going to say after George Bush, after Donald Trump.
Okay.
Yeah, it felt like a Donald Trump-y era because he says Obama in the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
I don't even bother watching the movie now. Psycho, 1960. Have we said everything we wanted to say before we got into this? Yeah.
I think so.
We've caught up.
You're looking at our comprehensive notes.
Yeah, just for everyone at home, I've scrawled some doctor-y style writing that I can't even decipher. I'm pretending that we're up to, I can read synopses. Synopsis is
up to that.
Synopsis is a difficult word to spell.
Then we don't know where to go after that.
No, anyway. It's just a big blank page. We had aspired to write lots of stuff. So, Nicholas, why don't you tell people what we're going to be doing for the synopsises?
So we're having a bit of fun with this. I'm going to use Thomas's computer. So we have got ChatGPT to give us a synopsis in the voice of Jerry Seinfeld for Psycho.
Yeah, this is brilliant. I'm so happy that you're reading this.
I don't know how to do a New York accent. It's just not
I think you trying is the fun. Embrace it.
What's the deal with motels in
Keep going.
in the middle of nowhere? You ever noticed how they always run by one weird guy who just loves his mother a little bit too much? So Marion Crane, she's got a little sticky fingers situation with 40 grand, decides to hightail it out of town, ends up at the Bates Motel. And let me tell you, this place, not exactly the Ritz-Carlton.
Sorry, I don't know if anyone else thinks this is funny, but
there's no continental breakfast. The shower drains are very unreliable, and the owner, just a mild-mannered taxidermy enthusiast named Norman, who, big surprise, had some mummy issues. A little bit of a Pommy accent coming through. Marion's thinking, maybe I made a mistake coming here. Norman's thinking, maybe I should dress up in my dead mother's as my dead mother and stab people. stab people in the shower. Classic misunderstanding.
It's just such a good decision.
Then Marion's boyfriend and his sister start looking at her because, call me crazy, but when someone disappears after stopping at the world's creepiest roadside inn, you get a little suspicious. Eventually, we find out Norman's got a double life, and by double life, I mean he's literally playing himself and his mother. In the end, Norman gets caught, and not before delivering one of the most unsettling smiles in film history. The moral of the story, always read the Yelp reviews before booking your motel room, Thomas.
That was so good. You have a talent that you've been keeping secret.
Hidden.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, why didn't we start with doing reviews like that?
It works. All downhill from here.
All downhill from here. That's is that a Newfound Glory song? It's all downhill from here.
Yep.
Cool. I should get that. Should get that podcast recorder thing back, and we can put little things like that. Anyway, I might have ADHD. I just went way off. Okay.
What are your thoughts on the movie?
Well, now I just want to talk about get you to read different things in different voices. That was really good. Okay, so Psycho. Is this? Oh gosh, is this our first Alfred Hitchcock movie in the list?
Yes, I believe.
Wow, yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I brought my little Blu-ray set that I bought. I reckon I've had this for 20 years. When did Blu-ray come out? Show the people.
Sure.
This is what a Blu-ray looks
still
like.
A thing?
Well, I bought this. I won Chase the Ace, which is like a card game on Christmas Day with all these old people. And I grew up going to this family friend's house. Mm-hmm. Auntie Joyce's house, and we called it, and played Chase the Ace, and I'm pretty sure they all let me win, but I won like $90 or something.
Is it because they want to implant their brain in yours?
Oh yeah, well,
get out reference.
Get out reference. No, it was I won the money and I went and bought this box set.
Nice,
because it was like
it's
fantastic.
How many movies?
Saboteur. You've actually watched a few, like maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. You guys came over and watched. The Trouble with Harry, which was a random one, but I fell asleep. I have a habit of falling asleep in movies. Saboteur, Shadow of a Doubt, Rope, Rear Window, Trouble with Harry, The Man Who Knew Too Much, Vertigo, Psycho, The Birds, Marnie, Torn Curtain, Topaz, Frenzy, Family Plot, and then I had to buy North by Northwest separately. And I think To Catch a Thief and a few others that are also not on here. But Psycho, big favorite, honestly. For the longest time, I felt like it was one of those movies like you'd heard about, you had to watch. It's got so many references. Yeah. Or at least when we were growing up, so many of these references aren't in pop culture anymore. They were in things like The Simpsons or Family Guy or even, maybe new movies, Scary Movie, all those sorts of things. They reference these sorts of things. And so I loved it. This is the second time I've watched it, but I did watch it as soon as I got this. It was like I went pretty much straight to Psycho. And then I worked my way back and watched the others. But yeah, I love this movie.
Well, I hadn't watched it before, and then you go back to all these other films that you've watched, and you're like, I get the reference now.
Yeah, so, there's so much in it. It's so firstly, like the word horror is probably too strong. I think it's all suspense, thriller. It's obviously got a kill. The shower scene is a famous scene.
Fun fact, the actor playing Norman Bates, he wasn't actually in that scene.
Oh, it's all just a double or something.
He said he was, I think, out auditioning for a play or something. Oh. And Alfred Hitchcock said he didn't need him. He wanted a different sort of figure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they
got
someone else to do it.
Well,
so it's interesting, the most famous scene you're kind of not in, and everyone comes up to him, he was saying, referencing that scene.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, oh.
Yeah, oh well, take the credit.
Yeah.
Well, that particular scene, the shower scene where it's Jamie Lee Curtis's mum. She's in there and she gets stabbed as she stayed at the Bates Motel, and I wonder if people actually gleaned what the story was based. I'm trying to think, have we done the synopsis? But then we've done the synopsis in the voice of Jerry Seinfeld. You get the sense. Marion Crane, she's gone into this hotel and she's
she's on the run.
Well, firstly, like let's start at the beginning of this movie. It sets up like this romance, perfectly. I made a few notes. It's a totally understandable situation. Both of the people that you're introduced to, Sam Loomis and Marion Crane, they're not like bad people. They're having a fling because they can't be together, and he won't marry her yet because he can't afford to marry her.
Yeah.
Not because he's some sort of bad person or anything. She said she's never been married before yet, and she's been working for this dude for 10 years. Who seems like a good dude, and it just feels like the world's against them a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to read between the lines nowadays, because in movies nowadays they'll make it a lot more explicit. The world's against them,
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of symbolism in the opening scene and what they're referencing, and how she's talking about wanting a respectable, like taking him home so they can sit under the picture of her mother or something like that. Do you remember that?
Oh, and he says he'll turn the picture away.
Something like that. Yeah.
Is there something I'm like, tell me more. What's the symbolism?
Well, I think there's things on the wall, and
you don't have to have an answer.
Yeah.
This isn't a test. You just hinted there was symbolism. I'm like, I know there's probably symbolism and stuff. I was just so engrossed in the whole thing that
I feel like in a lot of these older films, there's purpose in everything that's in the scene.
Yeah,
that's captured. Otherwise, it's not in the shot.
Yeah,
basically.
It feels sometimes like these. And look, I'm not picking on Netflix or Marvel or anything necessarily. There's obviously great movies that have been made on that, but it feels like a little bit in this modern conveyor belt make a movie sort of thing, that there'd be a little bit less of that. I mean, like, production designers are people largely in charge of putting what's in front of the camera, as far as I'm aware. Like, they'll set the stage. So they'll pick the bedding, they'll pick the flowers, they'll put the newspaper, they do all that stuff.
And it's more like, put a Coke can in this scene.
Yeah, well, that's certainly it became that as well. But also, Alfred Hitchcock made this movie because he wanted to see what he was kind of fed up with these big blockbuster movies like North by Northwest, which was made in the 50s and stuff. And this is in 1960. And
is this his first horror? Or was it?
No, it's not. It's not.
No.
It's his first. What he did was he decided he saw the success of these like B movie horror shock violent movies, and he thought, what if I made one of those really, really well?
Yeah. Okay.
So I think movies, to his standard, I'm not saying that picking on anyone who makes movies, but I think there's probably a range of them that they just pick any outfit they can.
Okay.
And you put that in front of the camera just because they've got to get the scene where the girl walks through or whatever. Whereas movies like directors like Hitchcock, who also could have afforded to spend more time, even though he didn't spend heaps of money making this movie, can afford to, would have been used to picking a specific dress and have done that on purpose. And that happens in Get Out as well. That's why sometimes the reason a movie is an awesome movie is you can't put your finger on it. It's that they've thought about everything in the shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every single thing that you see in that shot is in the shot for a reason to hint at something,
Yeah.
And, like, not everything's perfect, but I can't remember why I've rambled here, but what did I think of the movie? Oh, we were going back to the beginning of the symbolism of that scene. Oh, that you could really relate to their circumstance.
The characters. Well, they spend a lot of time setting up their relationship.
I don't know how far into the movie it is before the first thing starts to happen, but essentially she gets this $40,000 because she works for a real estate agent type dude in a, I think it's New Mexico or something, Arizona, some city in Arizona, and it's hot. And so this rich tycoon dude comes in and he's buying this house, expensive house, for his daughter who's about to get married, who obviously everything's laid out perfectly for this daughter. This guy's not even meant to be a bad guy. He's just drunk and rich. He might maybe in the 60s have been meant to be painted to be a bit
sleazy.
Bit sleazy, and she just, it's like it immediately happens. Like she goes and you can see in her eyes to make the decision, and then boom, the next scene she's wearing black. So she goes from wearing a white, you see her in a white bra and stuff, to she's made a bad decision, so she's wearing black. Yeah. And now she's on the road. Yeah. And it's this tension is just building from there, right?
And then is it that scene with her in the car where there's not a lot of dialogue at all?
Yeah, like that's another thing.
You're just sort of watching, it's all in the face. And
it is so good. And so, I mean, I'm talking a lot. So I want to talk heaps, but I really want to hear what you think of this. But so that you've got the symbolism of the changing. She wears the white and then she wears the black when she's made the decision to steal the money and hightail it out of Arizona and go drive to California to see Sam. Sam doesn't know anything about this. She's just made this decision.
Yep.
And then something happens where she's driving the city, and she stops and she's sitting there and she's like, it's just her face. And then all of a sudden her boss and the dude cross the street in front of her. And I'll tell you, it references something in Pulp Fiction as well, because that's what I think that happens with Butch when he's driving the car and then he sees Marcellus Wallace cross the street. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that would have to be, knowing what I know about Quentin Tarantino, that's probably some sort of reference to that. But it just adds this layer of like, this is a thriller, horror, stabby movie. That's the first kind of shock you get in the movie, like this sense of, oh no.
Yeah.
And it also creates... It's done not just for that purpose, but it also lays the foundation for why they would have known where she had left, that she didn't go home.
Yeah,
But then the way they cleverly lay this stuff in her head, the words that she's hearing.
Oh yeah, that was brilliant.
It's every
Loved
time.
It, yeah. Is that all Hitchcock? Is he the genius, or he worked with some other directors and people in the film?
Feels like you're interviewing me.
Well, I'm curious.
Because honestly, I could totally rant here. I could talk for hours about it. Yeah, I think we're coming back to you, but yes, I think the implication or the reputation of Hitchcock is that he's the auteur. In other words, a director who essentially has his fingers in every part of the pie and is responsible for every creative decision. In reality, I don't think that's even a thing that's possible, because a film would be so big, it'd be near impossible. The only possible auteur you could have would maybe a one-man or very small documentary crew. Yeah. And even then, like, I think it's just like a pipe dream maybe that auteurs even exist. But there's a movie called Hitchcock that came out with Helen Mirren and Anthony Hopkins. Yep. Is it Anthony?
I always thought it was Anthony, but
Anthony Hopkins. Yep. Might be Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Yeah. Isn't Mark Antony the dude who married J-Lo? So it's not Cleopatra.
Maybe.
Okay.
At some point.
I needed to get on that riddle and stuff, whatever it's called. So, and in that movie, that movie sort of hints at the fact that he's a bit erratic, and his wife ended up directing one of the famous scenes that was seen in the...
okay.
So there's a point later in the movie where a detective goes up into the house and the stairs, and this brilliant crane shot, which is used twice in the movie, and it creates a real sense of what's going to happen, because you can't see through any of the doorways, and you know something bad, and it's sudden too. But that scene apparently was directed by Alma something, whatever her name is.
Alma Hitchcock.
Oh yeah, that'd be it, wouldn't it? I'm thinking Alma Ritter for some reason. I think she might be the lady in Rear Window. Anyway, squirrel.
We don't have squirrels here.
Squirrel. Yeah, possum. So I think that he was probably responsible for a large part of it. And I know in Rear Window, which is, oh my gosh, such a great movie.
Yeah,
I hope is on this list.
I think that's Vertigo and Rear Window are the two I've watched.
You watched To Catch a Thief as well? Because I watched that with you.
I've watched that as well.
I know Tessa likes that. Yeah. Also, you had like a sunglasses company called...
massive company.
Huge company, sold it for billions.
Yes.
That's why we're doing a podcast in my garage, just to chill out, called Catch a Thief. Yeah. Anyway, so yes, I'm rambling. I think that the sense is that he did a lot of it, but she jumped in and other people jumped in as well.
I'm curious the decision with the music. I enjoyed the music, but I felt like they could have laid off a little bit.
Well, I mean,
at times it's just like,
no, stop. You're not doing this. I know what you're doing here. You're laying little things, and then you're making me talk for a long period of time. You're forcing me to speak constantly.
I'm just saying the music is a decision that I feel like I like the music, but I feel like they could have had some ebb and flow and calmed it down a little bit at times. Because that rat type of music is for effect, and if it's going constantly, it becomes a bit much.
Did you like did you feel like that? La, la, I can't even do it now. That theme. How does it go? It's The one when she's in the car, la 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 la. It almost goes. It makes. I'm going into ET. La 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 la. But it's not that.
Yeah.
It's the that sort of got this sort of like sense of dread through it as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what did you think of? I don't know. Well, I mean, you've got these great questions. Maybe I just don't care about your opinion. I was waiting for you to just ask me questions.
For the question. Yeah.
Tell me what you thought of it.
I loved it. I thought it should be higher on the list. I think it's everything I kind of want in a film as far as, you go away pondering it. I could watch it probably 10 times and not get bored, I think.
Yeah, okay.
It's one of those sorts of films. And though it's not like your Lawrence of Arabia with these grand scenes, but, the home, the hotel, it's like that sticks in your mind. Apparently that is something, it's being 3-story, it's Hitchcock was obsessed with Sigmund Freud or something, and that's the 3 sort of layers of your mind or something.
Oh, interesting. Where'd you read that?
I was on some podcast, other podcast.
You listen to other podcasts?
Yes.
Without me?
On YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I just, the way they shot it, the different emotions and feelings you get from the shots that he's doing. Like, he didn't have to explain everything.
Yeah.
Which I think is great.
Yeah, it's nice because he also holds shots for a long period of time. It's not like, sometimes in more modern films, things cut longer. And I think the movie that we'll move on to in a minute, Get Out, is he holds shots for quite a long period of time and also does interesting things with the zoom, the parallax zoom, whatever, where he's moving the camera in but he's zooming out at the same time to get that thing, which I don't think we do see in this movie, but he does use a bit in he uses it in Rear Window.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. That style sort of distorts the room as he is. It's famously a lot of people will recognize it if they can picture it in their minds from when they're on the road in Fellowship of the Ring, and he says, get off the road, you guys, and they have to jump off, and then there's the Black Rider is there.
Yeah.
There's that zoom in as the leaves are all blowing everywhere, and they're zooming in. They're zooming out as they're moving in. It just sort of creates this uneasy sense.
Yeah.
They use that in Get Out, but the only way to do that is if you hold a shot for a long time. And in this movie, it's like we're watching, I don't know what the effect is called, but where he cuts, it's where you're cutting between two things and the viewer reads stuff into the face of the person. So in this instance, it's the sounds that we're hearing with Marion Crane while we're watching her just drive.
Yeah.
Like, for 10 seconds, just unbroken, a person sitting there not saying anything new. They're just looking, and we can hear this dialogue of the people she's imagining. Like, she's followed by a cop at one point who's suspicious because she's swapping her car over and paying cash.
How did he find her again? 'Cause
I don't know. Maybe he probably just tailed her, I guess. But the point is that, like, you're reading things into her face. And Hitchcock actually is famous because he showed how it works, because he got a clip of himself just looking, right, and then cut it with a woman holding a baby, and people were surveyed and it said something like, just like he looks like a nice old man, but then they cut it with a footage of a woman laying there sunbathing, and another people like who hadn't seen it said, who had the expression he was behaving like a perverted old man, and they were literally the exact same shot. He didn't do it again. He actually used the same shot.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's just showing how those things can help you read into it. And the reason I say that is because there's just so much of just faces in this movie. You hold on the face of Marion Crane, but also Norman Bates. Like the scene that basically the long scene, the only long scene he has where he sits down while she's eating, and the framing of that scene when he's sitting back chatting, and then he just leans forward when he's more engaged, and he's angry at her for like maybe commenting about his mum.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like when he's decided he has to kill her, or some part of he's decided he's going to kill her, he just sits back again.
Yeah.
And rests, and his whole countenance has changed.
His acting was extraordinary. I thought he's perfect for the role.
He is so good. You could, everyone else is good, but you could swap everyone else out.
Yeah.
He can't swap him out. I can't.
No.
He did such a good job. He is such a creepy, but also not like cartoonish, like real.
Yeah. Like you could almost imagine yourself.
Should I be worried?
Maybe. Well, I kind of, I'm the quiet, weird guy.
If we keep going down this path, this might be the last episode. I'm starting to, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. You're meant to defend me.
I think so.
You're not weird.
I watch all these creepy movies and I think, no, I get it. I'm on the bad guy's side.
Well, I think it makes it more, I guess, more scary when
because it's believable.
Yeah, that's right. Some of the horrors that you see where you're like, it's far-fetched. People aren't like that. Yeah,
it's easier to mentally divorce yourself from it. Like I said to Haley, my wife, when we were watching Get Out last night, that like I've seen Halloween H2O, which interestingly has Halloween, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
Right? She's anyway, wow, that's why. That's weird that I referenced that movie, but she they kill Michael Myers like so many times. It's like and then he just gets back up again. It's like it's kind of scary, but then you realize, oh, hang on, this is a cartoonish figure.
Yeah.
Whereas there's not a lot of moments in this movie where you're gonna be like shocked. Like not.
No, it's not that.
Our movies now, there's like this kind of almost function like action movies. We should probably. Is there anything else? I mean, is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
But that's where, like, I'm not a huge fan of the horror genre, but I would like the genre if this is more of what it was, because you get all those sort of same feelings of suspense, but you don't have all the gore and just the shock value, which I don't know if it's necessary.
I agree. I think the horror stuff, if people want to do that, that's great. But if there was a genre of this sort of movie that I could trust was going to stay in this zone where it was going to tell an interesting story and not be overly gross and not have these massive like bulk Costco packet-sized sections where it's like scare. Yeah. It's more interesting to have tension and tension.
Right,
and then and those movies do it. I think the reason I'm not wanting to move on from Psycho is because I feel like in talking about Get Out, we're going to keep going back to Psycho as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it made me think of how the end of that movie has a bit more of like we've just got used to our movies building up to a crescendo and then having this sort of like big amount of action at the end, even with like a thriller. Yeah. I can't think of an example, so I'm probably just talking out, the other side of my mouth. But
I get what you mean.
Yeah, I thought this movie was good because it's almost like it was simple. Like it was like clean, the perfect. Like,
well, you can take it as a simple story, or there is, I think, the complexity with the symbolism going on, so you can go deeper.
Yeah,
if you want to.
I wrote a few notes. At risk of talking, have I spoken enough?
No,
people haven't heard my voice enough yet, have they?
I want to know what you really think, Thomas.
Yeah, sorry. Well, have you have you got any notes? Anything you want to say before we move on? Is there anything you want to say about this movie?
You put me on the spot.
Sorry. All right. Do you want me to say some stuff?
Share your notes, but
then you promised me that you're going to talk a lot, and I'm going to be able to sit back and be quiet. Okay, so I love the score because I do. Bernard Herrmann wrote the score for this, and I think he wrote a lot of the scores for Hitchcock movies. Hitchcock loved it so much he doubled his salary.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He basically said the movie lives and breathes because of the score.
Yeah.
I love that it's black and white. I think that's awesome. It helps the shower scene, everything not be too grotesque. Cause
apparently that was like hot chocolate or something.
Sounds
the blood.
Apparently, I mean, I've been telling people this, but there's some plosives again. Sorry, everyone. The shower, that shower scene's the first time they showed a toilet on.
Oh, flushing toilet.
Flushing toilet, yeah. On
it's so risque.
So risque. You think it's like, oh, that's weird. Like the Brady Bunch was the first time a husband and wife had been shown in bed together.
Oh, okay.
Prior to that, they were always put in separate beds.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I loved that it was black and white. That shower scene, by the way, I think it's like, I know there's a story where he cut the shower scene and showed it, and the people at the production company, whatever, said, that's too like too much risque, too much nudity or something. They said they saw things that they didn't see because there's no single shot that has it in there. And he said, oh, okay, I'll take it out. And then he just went back a couple of days or a week later or something, showed them the exact same cut, said, I took the shots out.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything different. And they're like, okay, that's fine. You can go ahead with that. So he keeps playing him because I do think he was a genius on some level. But yeah, there's like a ton of shots. If you rewatch, I don't know how many it is. There's a documentary about the amount of shots, that whole scene.
I thought I heard 47, but I could be wrong. Yeah,
that might be right, yeah. I wrote the relatable tension, the cop seeing her, the boss crossing the street, and I said the Pulp Fiction reference. The car salesman taking his usual, she's trying to buy this car, and the car salesman, so relatable. Like, she's in a rush. He's like, yeah, well, like, this has got to happen, and let me, take your time, miss.
Yeah.
And you just, because you so many movies where you're like, yeah, that's happened. But
and how cheap was the car?
I know. You can get a really nice car for like $3,000 or something it was.
Well, she traded her car in and extra 700. I think it was
insane. I saw something like Hitchcock made in the hundreds of millions off this movie. So he got rid of his normal salary, and because the studio thought this movie wasn't going to do big dollars, they gave him points on the back end. They gave him like a massive amount of the gross, and that's why he ended up making like adjusted for inflation, like $100 and something million. I could look at it while you talk. When you've
crazy.
I'm just sort of spitting out all the notes I made while I was making the movie. The financial pressure, totally normal dreams, getting married, having a house. It's like totally relatable people. The framing of the dinner conversation is really interesting and unsettling. The way the angle changes when Marion says the wrong thing. Yeah, because the camera angles are a certain side, like there's a side on, and then the angle shifts. It's like the conversation is shifted.
Yeah.
And it does. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm looking for this stuff. So even the cleanup after the murder is compelling because there's something there we as the audience know about that he doesn't know about. The whole time we're like, it's like he's just cleaning up. Why would this he just murdered someone? Why is this compelling? Well, because they keep showing us the newspaper, which is the money's wrapped in the newspaper, right?
It was. I thought that was the worst spot to put it.
I know. So why? But they needed to put it there for the movie.
Yeah.
That was really good. Such efficient storytelling. The voiceover while driving, it is super efficient. They get through modern. Maybe I don't know. Keep picking on modern movies. I love modern movies.
Yeah,
but it does feel like a lesser filmmaker would have added a bunch of scenes.
Yeah,
when you didn't need it, just needed her face and voice.
I just think with everything, less is more. If it's not necessary to be there, take it out.
Yeah.
Strip it back as much as you can.
Totally agree.
That's great.
You know what you're supposed to do there? You're supposed to keep talking. Because I'm waiting.
I said what I needed to say.
Do you know what? How about we do one podcast and I talk and I get all my stuff out and then we just run it through the Nick filter and you just tell me how I could have said it in less words and then we go and record the actual one we put out. I don't have the low words function. What's my last one? My last note? Oh no, everything else is the shot of Norman after he killed a detective and Sam came to find him applying. He's put him in the lake as well. Yeah, like he literally, Sam turns up to the place. So the boyfriend turns up to look for her and he's calling out for the detective, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you just get one shot of Norman Bates standing where we as an audience, it's not even exactly the same spot as when he put Marion in the car in the lake, in the bog. It's just one shot of Norman Bates turning and looking.
Yep.
Like he's heard him.
Mm-hmm.
We as an audience know what he's done. We put all the pieces together in 1 4-second reaction shot, maybe even not that long. We go, oh, he's put the cop in the bog as well.
Yeah.
It's just super. I mean, I shouldn't find that as impressive as I do. Maybe I just love that that's how easy it is to.
Well, I think they're as you said, the unsaid things or that you don't necessarily notice that make it a great film that's in the top 100.
Yeah, true. You know? Man, we've talked a lot about this.
But you wanted to get into Get Out?
I think we should get into Get Out because I don't know how long we've been talking. How long have we been talking? A little while.
A while.
Time to move on to Get Out, hey? I don't think there's anything else I can say about Psycho. The ending's really good. The scares are really good. The angles are phenomenal. It's beautifully...
The conclusion's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know.
And the way that he tells it all at the end, it's a little like wrap it up with a neat bow, but hey, that's what you want. You want to hear the story of it.
Yeah, that's right.
So yes, this one gets 5 corpses of a dead mother.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sound good? I'm trying to think.
Taxidermy.
Yeah.
Oh, did he taxidermy?
She looked, I don't know. Is that what happens? I saw a photo today of the bog man or something. They claim he's like a couple thousand years old, and his like torso and arms and fingers had been preserved. The skin had been preserved like for 2,500 years by the conditions of this bog.
Yeah.
And that was creepy.
He's quite short, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I only saw like the torso. There's no head or bones or anything. It's weird. Anyway, that's all tied into the fact that the dead mum corpse is also kind of creepy looking.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's great.
I kind of feel like that it was a little cartoonish because you'd imagine flesh would have been falling off the bones and stuff. It wouldn't have just been like shriveled up.
I don't know.
Oh, because he would have used the chemicals.
Yeah, he would have. That's why I think she was so preserved.
Oh, so creepy. If anyone is interested and they have Audible, there is a series on Alfred Hitchcock. Do you remember what I sent it to you? Ooh, okay, we're gonna.
I don't think you did.
Didn't I text you a thing? I text you a photo.
Maybe. I normally ignore you.
Well, I mean, I should probably read the you do normally ignore. Here we go. You liked it. The Adventures of Alfred Hitchcock. It's called The Adventures of Alfred Hitchcock. We'll put it up on the screen now. Okay. And it's got like a ton of episodes, but he was an interesting person, and the episode on that is really creepy because I think it's John Wayne Gacy, John Wayne, whatever, the actual murderer who inspired the book is real and extreme. Okay. Oh, yeah, with everything's real. Like, not necessarily the exact story, obviously, but he based it on an actual murderer who's really actually creepy, which is thankfully not like our next movie, Get Out, which is not based on anything true.
I think I actually watched a podcast which talked about him. Did he like make furniture?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's creepy. This is a children's podcast, Nicholas. Sorry. All the children listening.
He made furniture. What's wrong?
He made furniture. That's all he did. He's got an Instagram account called Make Furniture.
I actually think his job was maybe not a furniture maker, but along those lines.
There was like lamps and decorate. A very, very creepy person.
Mm.
Anyway, let's move on to Get Out. What do you reckon?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. This one, I know that you've got lots of words you're going to unload on the people about your thoughts on Get Out. Well, you're a massive racist, so I thought that you'd it's all the racist tendencies. That's a joke. He's not a racist.
I'm just everybody, leave that there.
It's going to leave it to sit there. Well, I have to say things that are a joke. I'm sorry. Okay, so this is Get Out, as told by Dr. Seuss. It's not going to be as funny as Nicholas's one, and it's too long. It's really long, but I'll read it quick.
Yep.
Oh, Chris was a man so kind and polite who went to the woods for a weekend delight. His girlfriend named Rose said, "Meet Mum and Dad." But soon he would see this trip would go bad. Her parents seemed nice with a big fancy home, yet something felt off like a Twilight Zone tome. That's good. Yeah. The house had some guests, both silent and stiff, with smiles so wide, but eyes full of if. The garden was lovely. This is awesome, by the way. The garden was lovely, the sun shining bright, yet Chris felt uneasy. Something wasn't quite right. The neighbours were strange, their greetings bizarre, like actors who'd practiced their lines from afar. Then out came Missy with her hypnotic way. She stirred his poor brain like a soup of dismay. A cup and a spoon, just a clink and a tap, and suddenly Chris took a long, dark nap. Down he fell to a place quite unknown, the sunken place where he sat all alone. But Chris was no fool, oh no, not today. He'd fight his way out. He'd not be their prey. With wits and some will and a dash of good luck, he bested the bad guys. Oh boy, they were stuck. He ran out and he fought through terror and doubt. Just in the nick of time, Chris got out. So heed this dear lesson, take note if you will. Not every invite is just for a thrill. If something seems off, don't stay and hang out. Just grab all your things and get out. That was pretty good, but it didn't tell you.
Bravo, love it.
It was good, but it didn't tell you what actually happens in the movie.
But that's where we talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, hang on. That's where you talk about it. Yeah. I'm going to sit quietly and sip my mineral water. What do you think of this movie? Like, should we fill anyone in on really what happens? Like, I mean, that's all true, but the premise of the movie, the central mystery of the movie, what they do, this is where you take over.
Yeah, I don't quite understand the science, but it's basically they were finding abled young men and women where they...
Black people.
But because there's a comment on black is, what did he say? One of the guests?
Yeah, he was like, black is in. Yeah, black is in.
At the moment. So, and a lot of it started to make sense. Like there's one guy, older chap in a wheelchair, and his wife was going up to, what was the actor's name?
Daniel oh man, it's like that David Olo names. They have, I don't want to mispronounce them, so I just don't bother to try and remember them. But
sorry, hold with us for a second. I should. I'm terrible with remembering.
Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah,
Kaluuya.
So she was grabbing his arms, seeing how muscular he was, because basically they kidnap these individuals, and then the dad, Bradley Whitford, Dean Armitage, was a neurosurgeon and would take, I guess, a portion of the brain.
Well, it seemed like it's most of the brain, except for a small portion that was connected to the cortex or some part of the spine.
Yeah, and then place it into the head of the individual they kidnapped. But there was still the essence of that individual there, so they ended up being almost not zombie-like, but a bit vacant and not quite there.
Yeah, so you're essentially watching this film. If you haven't seen it, you now know, spoiler alert for 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But it is, like, I think it pairs really well with Psycho.
Because it's one of these things you don't really know sort of what's happening, and then it kind of all revealed at the end, and you're like, that's why they were
exactly
behaving like that.
And it is really kind of, in this movie he uses scares quite a lot. He uses, like, there's a scene where a guy's just running at the camera.
Yeah.
He's just running.
It's frightening.
And it is frightening. It's weird because it's also a sense of, like, read something where he was talking about how he wanted to use depth in cinema as a scaring device. You know, like there's obviously the strings, which we hear, and, you know, that happens a bit. And this score actually does harken back a bit to the Psycho score.
I didn't quite understand what was going on there, because that young man would have been Grandpa?
Yeah.
So what was
he was going for a run. I think honestly, the instinct, like you saw the woman. There was a woman in the house, and there's a man in the house, a young black woman, a young black man.
Servants in the house.
Well, they were acting like servants while he was there.
Yeah, that's right.
And but she's just looking at herself. She's loving herself, looking in the reflection.
Yeah.
And then he's obviously appreciating his strength because he's able to chop wood. He's going for runs. It's a movie, so he can go for a night run.
Really late at night.
Really late at night. He's gone out for a run. Maybe he's just old and is loving this being in a new body thing. And who knows? But it's a scare. It's designed to be what it is, you know. It's it's just a really efficient way to show.
But I feel like in those situations, there's got to be a reason behind it, because it seems odd.
Yeah.
Like those sorts of things stick out.
They bother you?
Me. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, it's almost a little bit lazy of going, all right, we want a scare, so let's just do this.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I feel like
You could have him going around for a run and it actually looked like he's doing that, but it was weird. He was behind a tree and then comes out and just runs directly towards him. Like, that's not going.
I have to rewatch it and see. Because he's standing behind a tree and
I'm pretty sure, because he looks
towards. You have to suspend your disbelief.
He looks towards the tree. Daniel, the character. Should we?
Chris Washington.
Chris Washington. No one's there, and then he looks back, and the guy's running from that tree.
Yeah, that's true.
So he was.
I suspended my disbelief, but yeah, okay, I'll grant you that. But it's a good scare. Like he has the same amount of scares in this, I think, or whether it's the same amount, it's the same ratio of scares, you know, and shocks and jumps and little moments in it. I think the fact that there's like a 3-level house as well. Interesting, because there's the basement, there's the main level, and then the upstairs level, the basement is where you in.
Well, psychology plays a big part in this, isn't it?
Yeah, because she's a psychiatrist.
Yep.
It's brilliant. Like, she obviously does these, like, this hypnotism stuff that he doesn't realize is happening, and she's able to control him. One thing that's really efficient. That scene happens earlier in the film, earlier than you might otherwise expect, I think. And it's just, its pacing is really good. It's under 2 hours. Yeah, the whole thing is great.
Did did you have a sense of what was going on pretty early?
First time I saw it, no. Did you?
I didn't trust his girlfriend. Like I didn't believe she was as ditzy as she's kind of making out to be.
Yeah, okay.
Like especially when she was at her parents' place and all the stuff was going on. Sorry, I got to talk into it. She's kind of smirking and laughing at some really horrible stuff that was happening to him.
Yeah.
Like in those moments, you would assume if she cared about him and was angry about how he's being treated, they would leave.
Yeah.
But
she's a complete psycho, that lady. When it really switches, she's looking for the keys. There's a scene at the end of the movie where it's like, whatever her name is. The thing is, I didn't really care about their names. I was just so engrossed. Rose. Yeah, that's it, Rose.
Yeah.
Rose, where's the keys? Where's the keys? Where's the keys? And she's like still acting the part. And me, I hadn't watched it for a few years, so maybe like 4 years or something since I've seen this movie, and maybe more. And I'm like, why is she still pretending to look for the keys? That's so clearly the situation's changed. And then then the moment I forgot how she reveals that she's in on it. She's not with him. She's in on it. She's like just following the keys, and she just lifts the keys up, snaps, changes personality instantly.
Yeah.
She's like, here they are. And
it's interesting, creepy. Even visually, I don't know if they did anything, but like, because she's meant to be the attractive girlfriend, kind of, when she snapped, you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Lost.
The whole thing, the entrapment is creepy. The first scene at the beginning with that Lakeith something, I don't know.
We really should.
Lakeith Stanfield, I'd seen him before. He plays Andre or Logan, the old guy who he sees at the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing.
Or at the gathering of all the old white people.
Yeah.
And one Asian dude is just randomly there. Guess that's because the dude before said that black is in. Maybe that's them.
Well, it's interesting that the movie gives this, this feeling of racism's going on.
But you can't see it. It seems like everything's fine.
And I don't know if they really, I don't know if they admire the black people, but they admire the strength and, agility that they have.
Yeah.
Hence why they're kidnapping them. But so it's this weird.
Well, they're using their bodies.
Yeah.
They're fascinated with their appearance and their bodies. And even the guy who ends up bidding on Daniel, the Chris guy, he wants him for his eyes. He says he couldn't care what color he is, but he wants him for his eyes, not just because the guy's blind and he wants to be able to see again, but because he thinks he has a special talent.
Because he's a photographer.
Yeah. I think this movie is probably meant to be, and especially in 2017, like getting into the subject matter and the political implications, always freaking political with these sorts of things, that I think it was probably lauded as a bit more of a political commentary, like the guy, Brad Whitford, the dad, the actor's name's Brad Whitford, the character's Dean Armitage.
Yeah.
He says, I would have voted for Obama a third term if I could, says these things. And so it's this little political element to it. I think it's just really cleverly not played too heavy-handed.
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, I think I would have been turned off. I wonder if he'd made this movie in 2022, if it would have been a woke disaster. Because what did Donald Trump say? Everything woke turns to shit.
Yeah.
I actually do think that's true, because this was pre that, and it won an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay.
Yeah, okay. And
I can see it, because it's not only all the themes are just beautifully subtle enough. I shared it on Instagram, this to my millions of followers, and got lots of feedback.
Yeah, nice.
The Chris Nolan, the director of Inception and Interstellar and the Dark Knight trilogy and all these movies, and he just did Oppenheimer. He did something where he said, there was a quote that he said that people had asked him, why don't you put more of your political beliefs into your movies, to convince, i.e., propaganda, to convince people to believe the same thing as you. And he said, you can do much more. Essentially, boiled down to, you can do much more bringing people along by helping them feel something than you can by telling them to think a certain way. Yeah. And I think that's the perfect differentiation between this movie and anything that came out in 2021 to 2023, basically. People forgot that subtlety still gets a message across.
And this movie definitely gets it. Like you sort of go, imagine being a different skin color coming to a party like this.
And not just a black person coming to a white situation, trying to look at like what it might be from any outsider's perspective. Because it's simple enough to, any outsider's perspective where everyone's just ogling them for that purpose. And obviously it's turned up to 11 because these people are literally ogling for their own purposes to use them. And then it made me think of Malcolm X. What does it say? The white liberal is the worst enemy to America and the worst enemy to the black man. Let me explain what I mean by the white liberal. In America, the white liberal has posed as the friend of the Negro. And it's Malcolm X, not me. And as a friend of the Negro, the white liberal is constantly helping the Negro get rid of the discriminating Southern white man. But after the Negro, there's a lot of Negro for me to say. I don't really. This is a quote from Malcolm X. Gets rid of the discriminating Southern white man. The Negro discovers that the white liberal is just a fox who has been taking him further into a trap that he himself set. I thought of that quote when I was watching this movie. Obviously, I don't remember that verbatim, but I'd heard him say things like that before about the white liberal. And I thought it was really interesting. In 2017, he said, I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could. He was posing as a white liberal in order to lull black people into a trap that they had set, a literal trap. And I think, the ramifications, like whatever commentary it happens to be having, like we're getting these black guys and we use them for sport and entertainment, the modern mandingo thing, what they say. And I'm pulling that term from the Tarantino movie, not because I use it casually, but where they have strong black athletic men use for entertainment,
And often their heads are white individuals, which are taking advantage of them.
And look, they are taking advantage in some. I mean, look, like not in basketball and what is it, NFL in America, even like the hip hop scene. These are young. In many instances,
I think it's changing. Like people are able to be more independent, which is great.
It is. That is good. Not so. Well, you're talking about music.
Even like representing yourself. I think.
No, but I'm like with sport, you can't.
You can't at all.
Well, you can't really go and be an indie NFL team.
Why not?
Bootstrap and everything. What I think with that is like,
but even like a lot of them would have managers, I suppose. But you could do it all yourself.
I think you could probably do it with music. I don't know enough about it, but I assume if you're going to be in basketball, you're going to have people. Yeah. But you're still part of a massive machine owned by someone.
I heard.
Not that there's anything wrong with sport. I'm not saying that, but I'm just thinking it's an interesting parallel.
Yeah. In the music industry, this rapper, his mum basically took care of all the money.
That's like Michael Jordan.
But he just spent all this money. He's like, I had no idea what our balance was, but yeah.
And was he okay, or did she rip him off?
No, it was all fine.
Oh, that's good. It's like that that movie Concussion with Will Smith.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's like all about CTE, which is this thing to do with getting lots of concussions, and it causes this brain neuro damage thing, which has created a lot of murder-suicides and very dark stuff in sport. And that was just like a ramifications. Use these guys up. A lot of them end up, I think the percentage of these NFL, I keep saying NFL, is that gridiron?
Yeah, that's right.
Players that end up with being they're completely broke or on drugs or die is huge. Yeah, like because they're taken to the highest heights, they're not given any support, and then they're just ditched.
And they don't know a lot of the time what to do with the money. Like they lose a lot of it.
Yeah, because there's no guidance. They're just used for entertainment and then moved on. Again, not criticizing that sport or anything, but that's the movie is trying to point at that sort of thing when you just use a people group or people because they have a physical prowess, whether they are white or black or whatever. So I don't know, other political ramifications of the movie it doesn't always have to be political, but sometimes you wonder with these movies, like with Psycho, what can you learn from Psycho in your everyday life? What are we supposed to draw from it? I think maybe just learning about reading people and situations well.
Yeah, I don't.
And with this Get Out, I think I'm coming at it from a modern movie perspective and going, or at least the last 5 years. What is it trying to say politically? What should I be thinking? What does this movie want me to think? I think why it's such a good movie with Get Out is that it's not telling you what to think. It's not even really wrapping you over the knuckles for who you are or where you come from. It's just showing you an interesting story that is pretty powerful.
But I think the political aspect of it's subtly there, and it's I was challenged in various areas, and it's like that's a great way of, reaching a broad audience and not just, preaching too much.
Well said.
So,
yeah. I don't know that I would have not restriction, self-control or whatever with a movie, like filmmaking. It's I think this is his first movie.
Really?
Yeah,
and he wrote and directed, didn't he?
Wrote and directed it. He's in the comedy team Key and Peele before that. I'm sure he's done many other things I'm not aware of, but phenomenal first movie, right?
Yeah.
And then he made Us after that, which I kind of want to see. I don't know that you won't want to watch it.
No thanks.
Yeah, no thanks. I watched Nope, which is also pretty good.
Nope.
Not watching that. Nope's actually, it's not got as much jump stuff in it, but I must admit, I started watching and I was like, why am I watching this? Why am I watching this? But now I have to see the end of it.
Yeah, right.
He makes good horror movies. I'm not sure. I think he's made another one since Nope, but is very talented filmmaker.
I think at the end of the day, if there's a good story, you can weave, and the characters are authentic. I've just finished a book, Boy Swallows Universe, and it covers a whole gamut of topics in that, political topics, but it's just telling a story, and it's sort of interwoven in there, and it's not really right or left, and you relate to the drug addict, and the philanthropist ends up being a bit of a psycho, but it's not saying all philanthropists are like that, but it's just a really good story.
It's so good when things can just be a story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's was that a TV show recently as well? Boys.
Yeah, they made a TV series, and phenomenal. The book's almost exactly the same.
So I should watch it?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, this has been really fun. Should we? I feel like I'm just skipping to the end here. Is there anything else you want to talk about with these two movies? Have we covered off our feelings?
How do you feel Psycho influence Get Out?
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably the whole point of watching these two movies. Well, I think the obvious things, I'm going to say one and you say another. We're going to do this because otherwise
I don't really know.
Well, what did you see? Because I texted you guys.
While I was watching it, I was like, why did Tom
so I
recommend this one?
You guys texted me last night because you were about 45 minutes.
You were saying there's a lot of black actors in both.
Yes. Yeah, I said, how is this related to Psycho? I said, all the black people, the use of mobile phones, both of them star Catherine Keener. But that only works if you know which actor is Catherine Keener in Get Out. It's the mum. She's not. Okay. She's in Being John Malkovich.
Fact check false.
Fact check false on all three of those. I was being facetious. So much of the filmmaking style follows in its footsteps. People are not who they seem.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example, like Norman Bates. You meet this family. It's like a family of Norman Bateses. Right? So unsettling. Also, there's the house. We've said that 3.
Yeah.
Not saying he copied these things. There's just inspiration. The score. If you pay attention to the score, there's use of strings. The strings and everything in Psycho influenced every horror movie from there on out.
Okay.
Every single thing was that sort of thing.
There's something about strings that work for.
Interestingly, I'm pretty sure the score for Halloween in 1970. Let's go that's 1976. Fact check me. Is of 1976. That was a synth score done by the director John. Come on, you know his name.
No.
I know it'll come to me. John A, B, C, D, E, F. Doesn't matter. I'll move on. That revolutionized, and that starred Janet Leigh's daughter.
Yep.
And that score sort of revolutionized horror scores from there on out as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So it heavily influenced those two movies with the two family members. So that score is a big one. The friend away from danger who comes to the location as well.
Yeah,
so he's got the movie cuts back to Sam and her sister in Psycho. The movie goes back to his friend, the TSA agent. Although in that movie they're not in Psycho, they're not comic relief. Whereas this TSA agent is actually that's also a perfect example of someone where it's like, I'm always trying to think of parallels, but it's like this person who he's not what he seems either. The white people in this movie are pretending to be, they're doctors, they're smart, they're pretending to be something, but his friend, who I wish I knew the name of the character, Chris's friend, who's a TSA agent, is funny as, and apparently improvised a bunch of his funny lines.
Yeah, okay.
He is being authentically himself, so he's not pretending, but he's not what he seems either. So the white people are not what they seem, and he's not what he seems. He seems like, even when he goes to the police officers and he says, this is the story, he basically describes, he's saying sex slaves. Well, it's not very much different because they're using them, these old women are getting up with, well, we have hardly left the house, that sort of thing. He's got it almost down to a T.
Yeah.
He's a
detective.
He's worked it out. He's actually smarter than everyone else around him, but his delivery portrays something different. His station in life, where he's ended up, but where he is, TSA, has not made him sound as legitimate as his intellect actually portrays. It's just brilliant. That's why I won an Oscar, 100%.
Yeah.
You're talking too much, Nicholas.
We're wrapping it up.
We should wrap it up with an actual rap. Hit it. I'll do the beatbox.
In the feel of Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, we could do that maybe next time. Anyway, you can hear that I like this movie. So this is fun pairing these movies up. What did you think?
Well, I was coming into it expecting there to be a lot more gore, so I appreciated there wasn't. The ending was not brutal, but intense. But
he stabs a few people gets a guy with a deer head.
It's tolerable.
I think there's movies today.
It was kind of like reverse. You expected them to be doing all the butchering, but
it was satisfying that they were disposed of so quickly too.
I'm torn. Like, it's great having that nice conclusion, but it's not. Is that what a movie is meant to do? Like those ones where it's like on a sad ending, it's kind of.
Why tell the story?
Yeah. It's nice to have that resolve, isn't it?
I think it's only, that brings us to like a more philosophical question, which is like, what's the point of telling a story? Like, you get to tell a story, you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
So why if a character suffers, why do they suffer in your story?
And to leave them in the suffering at the end.
Just to leave them in if you leave them in the suffering at the end, there better be a reason for that. Otherwise, you've made your audience suffer.
Yeah.
For what? Just to be creative, because movies wrap up neat and tidy?
Yeah.
Is it possible that in wrapping something up neat and tidy, you're feeling that what you've created, the feeling you've given your audience could still exist?
Yeah.
Is everything neat and tidy? He's just killed a house full of people. And there's, he's been participating in the murder of a white family in a rural, wealthy neighborhood. He's probably got a political turmoil fallout ahead of him to try and convince people. The house, things caught fire. So you don't know whether they've burnt down all the evidence. You don't know any of that stuff.
But as well, no one really knows, and he's driving away with his friend, so you don't know whether they went to the police or not after.
You don't know. So I guess, is it tied up in a neat bow? It just feels like the bad guys get their comeuppance, but then, Psycho ties it up in a neat bow, but, people still died and suffered. Yeah.
But then they still did 3 other movies.
Yeah. Let's stay clear of those. I don't really, sometimes there's no need for, even with this Get Out, apparently the studio wanted him to make a sequel, and he's like, I'll make one, but only if I have a story I really want to tell about it.
Yeah.
He hasn't made one yet, so.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Good on them.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very good.
Well, thank you everyone for watching.
Did we give Get Out a
out of...
Oh, gosh. Out of 5 old person scalps, because he peels the scalp off it and throws it. It's not that gory. It is very quick.
Yeah. Okay. Out of 5 scalps.
What about 5 muscly black men? Out of how many muscly black men? Because the son calls him like muscly.
Yeah.
You'd be, if you worked out, you'd be no, that's not appropriate. Oh, what about 5 teacups?
Yeah.
That works?
That will work.
It's a little less controversial. Not the scalps.
We'll go with that.
Cool.
Let's say 3.5.
3.5. Cool. Can't get much tea in that last half cup, can you?
What are
is
you
it a
giving
small
it?
cup or is it a normal size cup cut in half?
Normal size.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not a bowl. It's like an English teacup.
No, I'm saying that your half cup
Half.
would be, are you saying like it's
Like
cut across? So half. You got to pronounce the L. Half. A half cup. Half cup. I'll keep the L in every word now. Is it cut down the middle and so the tea just falls out? Or is it cut across the top so it's just a half cup of tea? So
I was thinking down the middle. But
yeah, down the middle. I was thinking that too. Okay. I'm giving it 5. Why would I withhold? I can't see how you can improve this movie except for maybe your issue with the running. But even then, I'm like, no, I think it's fine. Flux capacitor makes time travel possible. We all just accept it.
Yeah.
Old dude becomes young black guy, excited to run whenever he wants to. I just accept
Hide
it.
behind a tree.
You're like, he would never ever run at nighttime.
Not like that. It was just weird.
No, it was weird, but it was good. There's probably other things in the movie as well that we haven't covered that were probably a little out of place, but I think it was really good. So I'm going to leave it 5.
Yep. All right. Excellent. Thank you, Thomas.
This has been fun. We're going to keep doing this.
It has been a long one.
No idea what the next episode will be, but we'll see you there. And
Well, I think we're jumping back. We're watching
probably
like Raging Bull.
Raging Bull, possibly. But we don't know what order people are going to watch these in. So
No.
we'll see you on the next episode. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Subscribe on our YouTube. Follow us on Spotify.
Do I look over?
No, you got your own one. You got the nicest camera too. Mine keeps overheating and turns into
But
interrupting.
on YouTube, you're going to show that.
Oh yeah, no, hang on, we're over there.
We've got to be in the middle.
We've got to be in the middle.
Yeah.
No, we'll
Look,
just
we've
cut.
got to look at the same one.
Okay, we'll just finish up here. I'll look at the middle one then. So be sure to like and subscribe us and all that sort of stuff. You say it. What do you say?
No, that's all good.
Wrap it up, Nick. Wrap it up strong
Love
like
it.
you did like Jerry Seinfeld.
Take care.
We love you. See you on the internet.
Peace.
Bye.